right there at the family dinner party. I watched my mother toss the gift I'd just given her straight into the kitchen trash while my brother laughed, "Too cheap." Nobody knew the card tucked inside that box contained confirmation of a scholarship fund I'd established in my parents' names, enough money to change a child's entire year. I'd stayed silent for so long, always putting everyone else first. Tonight, I was switching roles, letting them taste exactly what it felt like to be dismissed in front of the entire family. When the microphone clicked on, the screen lit up, and the game I'd designed began. They'd all finally understand what cheap really meant and who actually owed whom. My name is Elena Hart, and for 34 years, I've been the family's emergency contact backup plan, an unpaid assistant rolled into one convenient package. I manage operations at North Star Venue Group, coordinating million-dollar events across the Midwest, but to my family in Bridgeton, I'm just Elena who's always free to help. The group chat notification lit up my phone at 6:15 a.m. this Tuesday morning, as predictable as sunrise. "Mom, Elena, honey, can you pick up the cake for Saturday's party? You know how your father's back gets." Before I could respond, another ping. Dylan, my 37-year-old brother. "Hey sis, mind grabbing my dry cleaning on your way? Kara's swamped with the kids." Then Camille, ever the perfectionist older sister. "Elena, could you review Madison's science project? You're so good at that stuff." I stared at the messages while Noah made coffee in my kitchen, his movements quiet and considerate. We'd been together 2 years, and he'd learned the rhythm of these morning bombardments. He set a mug beside me without comment, just a gentle squeeze on my shoulder. "Another family emergency?" he asked, though his tone suggested he already knew. 3, actually: cake, dry cleaning, and homework. I scrolled through my calendar, mentally reorganizing client meetings around my family's needs. Again, the thing about being the youngest and single for most of your adult life is that everyone assumes your time belongs to them. When Dylan started his 3rd failed business venture, who arranged his vendor meetings? When Camille needed someone to watch her kids during her anniversary trips? When Mom and Dad decided to renovate their kitchen last spring, who spent every weekend hauling samples and coordinating contractors? The receipts lived in a folder on my laptop, not out of pettiness, but out of habit. Event planning taught me to document everything. Every Venmo request ignored, every "I'll pay you back" forgotten, every Saturday sacrificed. 5 years of data, all tagged and categorized. Sometimes I'd open it late at night, not to tally the money, but to count the hours. 3,243 hours, to be exact. You know what kills me? I told Noah last week after canceling our dinner reservation again to help Mom with her book club setup. I plan corporate galas where every minute of every person's time is valued and billed. But here, my time is communal property. He'd looked at me with those steady brown eyes and asked, "So why do you keep giving it away?" I didn't have an answer then. Maybe because Robert Hart raised me to believe family comes first. Maybe because Marianne Hart's guilt trips were Olympic level. Or maybe because deep down, I kept hoping that one day, just once, someone would see the effort and say thank you like they meant it. The family party this Saturday was supposedly to celebrate the kitchen renovation. Mom had sent 17 Pinterest boards to the group chat, each one annotated with "Elena, could you handle this?" I'd already coordinated the caterer, arranged the flowers, and created a digital slideshow of the renovation journey. My gift, a restored version of my parents' water-damaged wedding photo, professionally treated and reframed, plus something special I'd been working on for months sat wrapped in my hallway. As I confirmed the cake pickup and added Dylan's dry cleaning to my route, another message popped up. Mom again. "Oh, and Elena, don't go overboard on your gift. You know how you tend to overthink things." I actually laughed. The woman who had me source Italian marble samples for her backsplash was warning me about overthinking. Noah glanced over from where he was packing his audio equipment. "You okay?" "Define okay," I said, fingers flying across my phone screen, confirming, scheduling, accommodating. The QR codes I'd been embedding in every family event plan ostensibly for organizational efficiency had been capturing something else entirely. Data, proof, a paper trail of who actually kept this family running. I'm thinking about trying something different this time, I said carefully. Noah raised an eyebrow. Different how? Let's just say I've been in event planning long enough to know that sometimes the best show is the one nobody sees coming. The smell of roasted chicken and fresh paint hit me as soon as Noah and I stepped through my parents' front door. The renovated kitchen gleamed like a showroom white quartz countertops, subway tile backsplash, those pendant lights Mom had obsessed over for 3 months, extended family clustered around the island, wine glasses catching the light from the new fixtures. Elena. Finally. Mom swept over, air kissing my cheek while eyeing the wrapped box in my hands. Just put that anywhere. Dylan brought the most gorgeous crystal vase Waterford. Can you imagine? I placed my gift on the designated table, next to Dylan's elaborate presentation. The craft paper wrapping looked deliberately understated next to the silver ribbons and boutique bags. Inside that simple box was the restored wedding photo I'd spent 2 months having professionally recovered, and tucked behind it, a card containing something far more valuable confirmation of the Hart Grant, a $10,000 annual scholarship I'd established in my parents' names. The first year was already funded, the papers signed with the local foundation. That's it, Dylan's voice carried across the room. He picked up my gift, shaking it theatrically. Feels light. What did you do? Elena, grab something from Target on the way over. Kara laughed, that tinkling sound she'd perfected at country club lunches. Oh, Dylan, be nice. Not everyone has your gift-giving talents. The cousins gathered closer, drawn by the scent of drama. Aunt Patricia's eyes glittered with anticipation. This was better than her afternoon soaps. Mom took the box from Dylan, her smile tight. Well, let's see what Elena brought. She tore through the paper without ceremony, pulling out the restored frame. For a moment, her expression flickered. The photo was beautiful, the restoration work impeccable. Then she found the price tag I'd deliberately left on the back of the frame. $39.99. Her voice pitched high. Elena, this is from Home Goods. The frame is, I said quietly. The photo restoration, too cheap. Dylan's laugh boomed. Classic Elena. Spends all her time planning everyone else's parties, but can't even spring for a decent gift. The card with the scholarship information slipped from the frame, landing on the floor. Mom didn't notice, too busy holding the frame at arm's length like it might contaminate her. This is embarrassing, she muttered, then louder. For the audience. Honestly, Elena, after everything we've done, the college tuition, the car, supporting you through that career change, the car they'd given me for graduation 14 years ago, the career change from retail to event planning that I'd funded entirely myself. But the family mythology had already been written. She walked to the kitchen trash can, the new one with the soft, close lid she'd spent 2 hours selecting, and dropped my gift inside. The frame hit with a hollow thud. The disposal hummed to life as coffee grounds from earlier merged with the edges of the wrapping paper. Mom, I started. Let's just move on, she said, already reaching for Camille's gift bag. Oh, this is heavy. Now this feels substantial. Noah's hand found mine. I could feel him tense beside me, ready to speak, but I squeezed back. Not yet. His audio recorder, the tiny one he'd been testing for a DJ gig, was clipped to his jacket. The red light blinked steadily. The room reorganized itself around Camille's reveal, a KitchenAid stand mixer in the exact copper finish Mom had been dropping hints about. The cousins cooed. Uncle Richard made jokes about holiday cookies. The space where my gift had been on the table filled with wine glasses and appetizer plates. I watched it all with strange detachment, memorizing the scene. The scholarship confirmation was probably soaking through with coffee grounds by now. $10,000 for a deserving kid's education, literally thrown in the trash because the frame looked cheap. You okay? Noah whispered. I smiled, surprising myself with how calm I felt. Actually, yes. I just figured out the theme for my next event. What's that? I watched my family fawn over the parade of gifts, mentally cataloging every dismissive glance, every cutting laugh. The doorbell camera had caught my arrival. Noah's recorder had captured Dylan's mockery. The foundation had copies of the scholarship documents. Value assessment, I said softly. Sometimes people need help understanding what things are really worth. The drive home from the party was silent until Noah finally spoke. I've never seen anything like that. Your own mother threw away a $10,000 donation because the frame looked cheap. I kept my eyes on the road, hands steady at 10 and 2. That's who they are. Back in my apartment, I pulled up the folder on my laptop. 5 years of documentation spread across the screen. The numbers told a story my family would never acknowledge. Dylan's wedding I'd negotiated with vendors, saving him $8,000. Spent 43 hours on planning. His thank you, asking me to cover the bartender's tip because he'd forgotten to hit the ATM. Camille's emergency babysitting, 412 hours over 3 years. Market rate for a babysitter in Bridgeton, $20 an hour. I'd never seen a cent, never received more than a distracted thanks as she rushed out the door. The kitchen renovation. 67 hours of my time coordinating contractors, 17 trips to Home Depot, $3,000 of my own money when Dad's budget miscalculation nearly derailed the project. They'd paid me back half, eventually, after 4 reminders. Look at this. I showed Noah a text thread from last Thanksgiving. Mom at 8:30 a.m. Elena, we need you here now. The turkey isn't defrosting, me. Canceling a planned hike with friends. Then, at dinner, Mom's toast. Thank goodness for Camille's amazing green bean casserole and Dylan bringing that wonderful wine. Noah scrolled through more messages. Elena, can you handle? Elena, you're not busy, right? Elena, quick favor. You know what the worst part is. I pulled up another folder screenshots from the family group chat where I wasn't included. Camille had accidentally forwarded one to me last month. Look what they say when they think I can't see. Dylan, Elena will do it. She always does. Mom, she doesn't have kids or a real social life anyway. Camille, at least she's useful for something. Noah's jaw clenched. They coordinate using you. Like I'm Uber, but free and for errands. I laughed, but it came out sharp. Watch this. Here's a video from Madison's birthday. The screen showed me in the background, assembling a complicated princess castle while Camille posed for photos with the guests. 4 hours of assembly. My knees bruised from kneeling on the garage floor. The Facebook post later, Mama Magic making dreams come true. Blessed, sucker, crafty mom. Or this one. Another video, this time from Dylan's housewarming. Me in the kitchen, prepping food for 60 guests while Dylan gave tours, claiming he'd thrown this together last minute. The catering I'd arranged and partially paid for had been our secret. Apparently. Noah was quiet for a moment. Why did you keep going back? I closed the laptop and moved to the window, looking out at the suburban sprawl of Bridgeton. You know how in event planning, there's always that one vendor who never gets credit, the one who makes everything run but stays invisible. Yeah, but those people get paid. Right. I turned back to him. I kept thinking if I just did enough, proved my worth enough, they'd see me. Not just see what I do, but see me. Value me the way they value Dylan's business attempts that I secretly fund, or Camille's perfect motherhood that I enable. The scholarship thing that was you trying to show them, $10,000 every year. I wanted them to have a legacy, something meaningful. Named after them because despite everything, I trailed off. I'm an idiot. No, Noah said firmly. You're someone who believes family should mean something. They're the ones who, my phone buzzed. Mom, in the group chat. Thank you everyone for the lovely gifts. Special shout out to Dylan and Kara for that stunning vase. Below it, Camille. Elena, can you return the mixer I bought Mom and get the copper one instead? I kept the receipt. Then, Dylan, direct message. Hey, can you cover my car payment this month? Things are tight. You know how it is. I stared at the messages. The same pattern, forever and always. The anger that had been simmering since dinner suddenly crystallized into something else. Not rage, but clarity. "Noah," I said slowly, "how would you feel about helping me plan one more family event?" He raised an eyebrow. "What kind of event?" "The kind where everyone finally learns what things actually cost. Sunday morning, 3:45 a.m." While my family slept off their wine and self-congratulation, Noah and I returned to my parents' house. I still had my key, of course I did. Who else would water their plants during vacations? The kitchen trash sat by the garage, waiting for Monday's pickup. I pulled on gloves and retrieved the frame, still intact despite coffee grounds clinging to its corners. The scholarship confirmation letter was soaked but salvageable. I photographed everything the frame in the trash, the coffee-stained certificate, timestamp visible. "This feels like evidence collection," Noah whispered. "That's because it is." Back home, I laid out my plan like I would for any major event. Noah, who'd spent years in live sound production, understood precision timing better than most. "Phase 1, I said, pulling up spreadsheets. The real cost analysis. 5 years of data became a presentation. Total hours donated 3,243. Market value at my professional rate $162,000. Actual money spent covering for family $38,600. Money repaid $12,000. Outstanding balance $26,600. "Jesus," Noah muttered. "You could have bought a car." "I did. Dylan's. When his got repossessed," I added that receipt to the pile. "Told Mom it was a loan. Dylan told her I offered it as a gift." Phase 2. The footage. Noah's recording from the party was crystal clear. Dylan's laugh. "Too cheap." Mom's theatrical disgust. The sound of the trash can lid closing. We also had 3 years of sporadic recordings videos from family events where I documented things for memories, actually capturing evidence of my invisible labor. This one's my favorite. I showed him a video from last Christmas. Me cooking for 14 hours straight while Mom told guests she'd been slaving away all day. The timestamp never lied. Phase 3. The venue. I called in a favor at work. The Lark Pavilion had a last-minute cancellation for next Saturday. As North Star's operations manager, I got the friends and family rate. The space was elegant, professional, intimidating in just the right way. "Here's the genius part," I explained to Noah. "I'm framing it as an after-party for Mom's renovation celebration, a surprise bonus event. They'll think they're getting extra attention." I drafted the invitation that night. Professional quality, North Star letterhead. The Hart family cordially invited to an exclusive evening celebrating family values and appreciation. Cocktails and activities. Semi-formal attire required. Phase 4. The mechanism. This was where my event experience paid off. I designed the value game, an interactive experience where guests would scan QR codes at their seats. Each code would randomly assign them a task for the evening, to share the joy of contribution. But the tasks weren't random. Dylan would get kitchen duty, garbage disposal, heavy lifting. Camille would be assigned childcare for other people's kids, last-minute grocery runs. Mom and Dad. They'd receive the coordination stress of managing everyone else's assignments. "It's evil," Noah said, but he was smiling. "It's perfectly evil. It's proportional. Every task they get is something I've done for them in the last year. I have receipts." The final phase was the presentation itself, a slideshow that would autoplay during dinner, showing the real math, the hours, the money, the group chat screenshots, the video clips, all building to the reveal of the Hart grant, the scholarship they'd thrown in the trash. "What if they just leave?" Noah asked. I pulled up the contract template. "They won't. See, I'm positioning this as a pilot event for North Star's new Family Dynamics series. There'll be photographers, videographers. I'm telling them a documentary crew is considering it for a feature on modern family gatherings. They'll stay for the cameras. And if they figure out it's revenge, by then, it'll be too late." The other guests' cousins, aunts, uncles, family friends will all be there. They'll see everything. No more mythology about generous Dylan or perfect Camille or helpful Elena who doesn't contribute much but at least she tries. Noah studied the plans, then looked at me. You know this will change everything. Everything needs to change. I saved the files, backed them up to 3 different clouds. I'm done being the family's free labor while they literally throw my genuine gifts in the garbage. My phone buzzed. Dylan again. Seriously about that car payment. Help a brother out. I typed back, of course. Let's discuss it at the after-party Saturday. Check your email for details. Within minutes, the family group chat exploded with excitement. An exclusive event, potential documentary coverage. They were already planning their outfits. One more thing, I told Noah, pulling out the salvaged scholarship certificate. This is getting reframed, and this time, it's going in a case they can't ignore. Monday morning, I crafted the perfect hook. The email subject line read, Confidential Hart Family Selected for Exclusive Documentary Feature. The body was corporate poetry. Dear Hart Family, North Star Venue Group, in partnership with Midwest Family Dynamics, is pleased to announce your selection for our pilot documentary series, Grateful Gatherings Celebrating Modern Family Values. This exclusive after-party event will showcase your family's unique bond and may be featured in upcoming promotional materials. I included professional NDA's standard forms that basically said nothing but looked official. The documentary crew was actually my friend Marcus from college who did wedding videography. The photographer was his assistant. Both owed me favors from events I'd helped them book. Within an hour, the family group chat erupted. Mom, oh my goodness, documentary Patricia is going to die of jealousy. Dylan, I knew our family was special. Kara, we need new outfits. Camille, does Madison count as a featured family member? Should I prepare her for interviews? I leaked just enough details to build anticipation. Smart casual attire required. Participation in interactive segments expected. Time commitment, 3 hours minimum. Then came the contract, my masterpiece of corporate manipulation. Buried in standard event language was the clause. Participants agree to engage in all assigned activities as part of the documentary experience. Early departure forfeits inclusion in final materials and potential compensation. Potential compensation. The 2 magic words that guaranteed Dylan's signature. Tuesday. I met with Marcus at a coffee shop. I need this to look absolutely legitimate, I said, sliding him the run of show. He whistled low. This is elaborate. What exactly are you doing? Returning a gift they didn't want. I showed him the photo of my frame in the trash. With interest. Damn. Okay, I'm in. What's my angle? You're documenting authentic family dynamics under structured conditions. Think of it as a social experiment. How do families behave when roles are reversed? Wednesday brought venue contracts. Everything in my name. My control. The Lark Pavilion's AV system was state-of-the-art perfect for the slideshow that would run on loop. I programmed it to begin exactly 45 minutes into the event. After everyone was settled, fed, and slightly buzzed, the QR codes were gorgeous, elegant cardstock with gold foil, looking like premium party favors. Each one personalized, each one a trap. I spent hours coding the back end, making sure Dylan's code would consistently generate the worst tasks. Camille's would involve constant movement and stress, and my parents would require actual supervision and decision-making. Thursday, I handled catering. Nothing too fancy, wouldn't want to appear cheap, but everything required proper service. The kind where someone had to stay in the kitchen, someone had to bus tables, someone had to constantly refill and clean. Tasks that would naturally fall to whoever drew those QR codes. This is diabolical, Noah said, reading through the assignment list. Dylan gets dish duty during the appetizer course, garbage during mains, and bathroom check during dessert. It's randomized. I lied with a straight face. Pure chance. The invitation responses poured in. Every single yes. Cousins were driving in from 3 states away. Aunt Patricia rearranged her cruise schedule. The promise of television exposure was better than blood in the water for sharks. Friday afternoon, I made one last addition to the presentation, a slide showing the actual Hart Grant scholarship, the $10,000, the student who'd already been selected, a first-generation college student named Maria, whose thank you letter would appear in 48-point font. Thank you to the Hart family for believing in my dreams. Then, the kicker. Initial funding provided entirely by Elena Hart. Future funding dependent on family participation and contribution. I added the bank transfer receipts, the foundation contracts, the photo of the certificate in the trash, the timestamp from the doorbell camera, everything. That evening, Dylan texted again about the car payment. I responded, "Let's settle all outstanding balances at tomorrow's event. Bring your checkbook." LOL, what checkbook? You know I use Venmo. The documentary crew needs to see traditional transactions for authenticity. Don't worry, I'll have checks you can sign. Saturday morning, 5 hours before the event, I stood in the Lark Pavilion doing final checks. The screens were tested. The QR codes were placed at assigned seats. The kitchen was stocked with dirty dishes from a previous event I'd specifically requested they not be cleaned. Marcus arrived with his equipment. You know this is going to be brutal, right? No, I corrected him. It's going to be educational. The contracts I'd prepared for Dylan weren't just about car payments. They were repayment agreements for 5 years of loans, properly itemized, with interest, all legally binding, all waiting in a folder marked Family Business. My phone buzzed. Mom, what should I wear? Should I prepare remarks? This is so exciting. I typed back, just be yourself. Tonight is all about showing your true values. 7 o'clock sharp. The Lark Pavilion glowed with warm lights as my family arrived in their finest clothes. Mom wore the pearl necklace she saved for special occasions. Dylan had actually gotten a haircut. Camille's children were dressed like miniature executives. Elena. Mom air-kissed me at the entrance. This is absolutely stunning. How did you manage this? Just called in a few favors, I said smoothly. Welcome to your special evening. Marcus had his camera rolling from the moment they walked in. His assistant snapped candids as cousins gasped at the elegant space-round tables with cream linens, professional lighting, a full bar. It looked like a wedding reception, not a revenge plot. Ladies and gentlemen, I announced once everyone was seated, champagne in hand. Welcome to this celebration of Hart family values. Tonight isn't just about documenting who we are, it's about participating in what makes us special. Appreciative murmurs rippled through the room. Aunt Patricia preened for the camera. At each place setting, you'll find a special card with a QR code. This is part of our interactive experience. When scanned, you'll receive your contribution for tonight, a way to showcase the spirit of family cooperation. Dylan immediately grabbed his phone. This is like a game, cool. Exactly like a game. I smiled. But first, let's enjoy appetizers while I explain the rules. The wait staff hired specifically for their stern efficiency began service. I stood at the microphone, channeling every corporate presentation I'd ever delivered. The Hart family believes in sharing responsibilities. Correct nods around the room. Tonight, each QR code assigns you a task that represents that value. Some will help with service, some with logistics, some with entertainment. It's all random, of course. What if we don't want to do our task? Camille asked, already suspicious. Oh, well, as stated in your contracts, participation is mandatory for inclusion in the documentary. Plus, I smiled wider, there's a prize for the family that completes all tasks successfully. A prize? Dylan's eyes lit up. How much? Enough to matter. That was all it took. Dylan scanned his code first, his phone screen filled with text. Congratulations, you've been selected for kitchen support. Report to station in 15 minutes for dish duty during appetizer service. His face fell. Dish duty, that's my task. Someone has to do it, I said cheerfully. We're showcasing real family dynamics. Remember, Camille scanned next. Childcare coordinator. but I already watch my own kids. Tonight you'll be watching everyone's kids. In the designated children's area, for the full 3 hours. One by one, they discovered their assignments. Mom drew event supervisor, meaning she had to manage everyone else's tasks and ensure completion. Dad got supply runner multiple trips to the storage area for heavy items. Cousin Jeffrey pulled bathroom attendant. Aunt Patricia nearly fainted at garbage collection. "This is ridiculous," Mom said, but Marcus's camera was on her. She forced a smile. "I mean, this is quite creative." "Now, before we begin," I continued, "let me share something about the value of contributions." The first slide appeared on the screen behind me. A simple title, "The True Cost of Family." "What's this?" Dad asked. Context for the documentary. They need to understand our family dynamics. The next slide showed a pie chart. Hours of unpaid labor in the Hart family, 2020-2025. My slice was 92%. Nervous laughter scattered through the room. "Elena," Mom hissed. "What are you doing?" "Providing data. Look, here's a fun one." The next slide, financial contributions by family member. My bar towered over everyone else's. And here's my favorite messages from the family group chat. Dylan's text appeared in 40-point font. "Elena will do it. She always does." The room went silent except for the sound of Marcus's camera adjusting focus. "But don't worry," I said brightly. "Tonight, everyone gets to experience equal contribution. Dylan, shouldn't you be heading to the kitchen? The dishes are piling up. I'm not doing dishes at my own family party. Then you're in breach of contract and forfeit any inclusion in the documentary. Also," I pulled out a folder. "You'll need to sign this repayment agreement for the $26,000 you owe me. Today, with interest." Kara grabbed Dylan's arm. 26,000. What is she talking about? Nothing. She's being dramatic. The slideshow continued behind me. Receipts, bank transfers, text messages begging for money, followed by messages calling my gifts cheap. "Everyone, please check your phones," I announced. "Your tasks begin in 5 minutes. Remember, completion is mandatory." Mom stood up. "Elena Hart, stop this right now." "Stop what?" "Mom asking family to help expecting people to contribute. Isn't that what family does?" I clicked to the next slide the photo of my gift in the trash. Or do only some contributions end up in the garbage? The room erupted, but the contracts were signed, the cameras were rolling, and the kitchen timer had just begun to beep. "Dylan," I called out sweetly. "The dishes are waiting." The slideshow reached its crescendo. Behind me, the screen displayed a montage of video clips Noah had compiled me cooking alone in the kitchen last Thanksgiving while everyone laughed in the dining room, me assembling furniture at Dylan's apartment while he played video games, me scrubbing Mom's bathroom at 2 in the morning before her book club. "This is insane," Dylan shouted, but his protest was cut short by a new slide. The audio from last Saturday's party filled the room. Dylan's voice, crystal clear, "Too cheap, classic Elena." Then the sound of the trash can lid closing. I walked to the center of the room, holding the restored frame, the one I'd pulled from the garbage. This cheap gift contained something special. I extracted the coffee-stained certificate, now laminated. The Hart Grant, a $10,000 annual scholarship I established in our parents' names, fully funded for the first year. The recipient has already been selected. Gasps rippled through the extended family. Aunt Patricia's mouth formed a perfect O. "You threw away a scholarship." Uncle Richard stared at my mother. "I didn't know." Mom's face flushed crimson. "Because you didn't look. Because the frame was $39.99. I clicked to the next slide, the thank you letter from Maria, the scholarship recipient. Her words filled the screen. "This opportunity changes everything for my family. Thank you for believing in my dreams. But here's the interesting part," I continued. "The scholarship continues only if the Hart family contributes. Together. Equally." I pulled out the contracts. Minimum annual commitment $2,000 per family unit, plus 6 days of community service. That's extortion, Dylan sputtered. No, that's accountability. I turned to face him directly. Speaking of which, let's discuss your outstanding debts. The screen changed again. An itemized list: car payment assistance 18 months, apartment deposit, business loan, utility bills, grocery runs, gas money, total $26,600. That was family help, Dylan protested. Exactly. And now family needs it back. To fund the scholarship. I held out the repayment agreement. Sign now, or I file small claims court Monday morning. I have every receipt, every text message begging for money, every promise to pay me back. Kara was staring at Dylan like she'd never seen him before. 26,000. You told me Elena offered to help, that it was gifts. Let's move on to Camille, I said smoothly. The screen shifted. 412 hours of emergency babysitting. Market rate $20 per hour. Total value $8,240. Camille went pale. You're charging me for watching my kids. No, I'm showing everyone what my time was worth. Time I gave freely while you posted on Facebook about your mama magic and never mentioned who actually assembled Madison's birthday party. The video played me on my knees building that princess castle while Camille posed for photos. And Mom, I turned to Marianne, who looked like she might faint. Dad, 67 hours coordinating your renovation, $3,000 when the contractor walked, never fully repaid. But more importantly, the screen showed the group chat I wasn't supposed to see. Mom's message in bold, she doesn't have kids or a real social life anyway. The room was tomb silent. So here's tonight's real game, I announced. Everyone completes their assigned tasks, the same tasks I've done for years, or you're out. Out of the documentary, out of the scholarship naming, and in Dylan's case, into legal proceedings for debt collection. You can't do this, Mom said weakly. I'm not doing anything. I'm just asking family to help, to contribute. Isn't that what family does? I gestured to the kitchen. Dylan, those dishes won't wash themselves. Camille, the children's room is down the hall. Mom, you need to supervise everyone. That's your job tonight. Marcus kept filming as the reality sank in. They could leave, but they'd lose face in front of the extended family, lose the documentary opportunity, and in Dylan's case, face legal action. This is revenge. Dad finally spoke. No, I said calmly. Revenge would be sending these videos to your employers, your friends, your social media followers. This is education. This is showing you what it feels like to have your contributions dismissed as worthless. I picked up the restored frame one more time. You threw this away because it looked cheap. You threw away $10,000 for education because the frame was from Home Goods. Just like you've thrown away my time, my effort, my love, because it came without a price tag you could brag about. The kitchen timer buzzed insistently. Dylan, I said, my voice cutting through the tension. The dishes. Now. He looked around the room at the cameras, at the relatives watching, at his wife's shocked face. Slowly, he stood and walked toward the kitchen. Camille, the children are getting restless. She grabbed her wine glass, drained it, and headed for the kids' room. Mom, Dad, you should probably start coordinating. The night's just beginning. I walked back to the microphone for my closing statement. The Hart family values hard work and contribution. Tonight, finally, everyone gets to prove it. The screen behind me displayed one final slide. Time remaining 2 hours 30 minutes. The next 2 hours unfolded like a perfectly orchestrated performance. Dylan, his designer shirt soaked with dishwater, scrubbed plates while the kitchen staff watched impassively. Every time he tried to take a break, I'd appear with Marcus's camera. The documentary needs to capture authentic effort, I'd say sweetly. Camille wrangled 7 children in the designated playroom, her perfect makeup smearing as she chased toddlers and mediated disputes. For once, she experienced what I'd done countless times while she'd sipped wine with the other moms. Mom ran between stations, clipboard in hand, trying to coordinate a disaster of her own making. Dad hauled boxes of supplies up and down stairs, his face red with exertion. Aunt Patricia, in her silk dress, grimaced as she tied garbage bags. At 9:45 p.m., I called everyone back to the main room. They looked destroyed, hair disheveled, clothes stained, the gloss of their earlier arrival completely gone. "Congratulations," I announced. "You've completed your tasks. Now you understand a fraction of what I've done for years." Dylan slumped in his chair, staring at his pruned hands. "This is humiliating." "No, Dylan, humiliating is having your gift thrown in the trash while people laugh at you." I placed the repayment agreement in front of him. "Sign it." He looked at Kara, at the cameras, at the relatives watching. His hand shook as he signed. "Camille." I handed her an invoice. "This is what professional childcare costs. Consider it forgiven if you acknowledge, publicly, right now, who really organized Madison's last 3 birthday parties." She stood slowly, Marcus's camera focusing on her face. Elena does everything." "Mom, Dad." I placed the scholarship documentation on their table. "The Hart grant continues with or without your names on it. If you want the legacy, you'll contribute. Not just money time, real time, community service, fundraising, actual involvement." Mom's voice came out strangled. "You planned all this to hurt us." "I planned all this to show you. There's a difference." I pulled on my coat. "The scholarship recipient, Maria, starts college this fall. She's studying to become a teacher. Her thank you letter is in the frame you threw away, the one I saved from your garbage." I picked up the restored wedding photo, tucked it under my arm. "I'm keeping this. It represents the last time I'll restore something you've damaged." Noah appeared beside me, holding my purse. The timing was perfect. We'd rehearsed this exit. "One more thing," I said, turning back at the door. "The documentary footage. It's mine. Every second. If any of you ever call me cheap again, ever throw away my efforts, ever treat my time as worthless, it goes public. YouTube, Facebook, everywhere." "That's blackmail," Dad said. "No, it's insurance. Just like I've kept receipts for 5 years. I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. "You taught me that, Dad. Always have backup. Always protect your assets." The room remained frozen as Noah and I walked toward the exit, behind us. The slideshow continued its loop evidence of years of taking me for granted, displayed in high definition. At the door, I stopped one last time. "The restaurant staff will clean up. It's paid for, by me, like everything else always has been." Outside, snow was falling gently. Noah's car was warm, already running. As we pulled away, I could see through the windows my family still sitting in their stained clothes, surrounded by the mess of their own making. "How do you feel?" Noah asked. I thought about it as we drove through the quiet streets of Bridgeton, free. For the first time in my life, I feel free. My phone buzzed with texts, but I didn't check them. Tomorrow, there would be apologies, negotiations, maybe even genuine recognition. Or maybe not. It didn't matter anymore. The Hart grant would continue with or without them. Maria would get her education, and I would never again be the family member who gave everything and received mockery in return. As we passed the "Now Leaving Bridgeton" sign, I rolled down the window and tossed my copy of the house key into the snow. It disappeared into the white, lost like all those years I'd spent trying to earn love that should have been freely given. "No more family parties," Noah asked. "Oh, I'll go to family parties," I said. "As a guest, with a gift receipt, and a departure time." He laughed, reaching over to squeeze my hand. "That was quite a show." "I learned from the best," I said, thinking of all those events I'd planned, all those perfect productions. Turns out the most important event I ever planned was my own exit. The scholarship confirmation email pinged on my phone. Maria had sent another thank you note, this one with a photo of her acceptance letter. A stranger's dream funded by what my family had called too cheap. Behind us. The Lark Pavilion grew smaller in the distance, taking with it the last evening I'd ever spend serving people who only valued what came with a visible price tag. Ahead, the highway stretched open and inviting, leading away from Bridgeton and toward a life where my worth wouldn't be measured in free labor and forgotten favors. Dylan's dishes were done. Camille's childcare was covered. Mom's supervision was complete. And Elena Hart's obligation to the Hart family, finally, mercifully, over. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I'm curious to know where you're tuning in from. Please share in the comments below so we can connect. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts about Elena's decision. Was her revenge justified, or did she go too far? I'd love to hear your perspective on family dynamics and setting boundaries.